Maku monitor maku. Maku monitor maku. Iki lho, munggah iki lho.
Bingung tenang lho.
Ora. Iki terbesar iki ah 2019. Lah ki dhuwurku nah.
Have another extremely large earthquake, which is struck here in the southeast Pacific, right at the tip of Antarctica on the plate boundary heading over towards the South Sandwich Islands, where our two letter X's are. Big earthquake, 6.9 to 7.1, depending on who you go with. We'll click on the 7.1, takes us over to the EMSC, and we can go over to the USGS and look at the plate boundary map down here to the south, and they have it at 6.9. Now, you know why they have that? Because there was a previous 7.0 just a couple days ago up here to the north, well, 6.5 and Swarm that struck. It started out at 6.9. So 6.9 up to the north, now a 6.9 or 7.1 down to the south. And this is on top of the other large earthquake activity that we had on the other side of the planet, which was an additional 6.8 to 6.9 over in Mongolia, and a 7.0 which struck yesterday here at the Philippines-Indonesia border region. So 7.1, huge earthquake in the southeast Pacific on the plate boundary. Let me show it again where it is. Here, going over to the east and coming back down to the south, the plate boundary goes back up and can be traced back up to the coast of Chile, which then goes back to the west. And a day ago, I told everybody back out here that when this new earthquake struck back out in the middle of the Pacific, that was a new train coming across the bridge, and it's going to be impacting and going down around to the south and ultimately over to the X's. So this is our second 7.0 earthquake in the past 2 days, and they're on both sides of the Pacific. You can, again, let's get all the smaller earthquakes out of there and just look at the 7s. There. 7 on one side, 7 on the other. Another way to look at it on the USGS plate boundary map is 7 over here, where the plate boundaries come together at the Philippines-Indonesia border region, and all the way back down here, where Antarctica comes together with the South Atlantic, all together It's the whole Pacific plate on both sides spreading out into adjacent plates, such as the 6.8 up at the Mongolia-China border region, which was near 7.0 as well. So it's a lot of movement, both sides of the planet, sevens within a day of each other on two sides of the planet. They're not exact antipodes of one another, antipode meaning opposite side of the planet, but they certainly are on both sides of the Pacific, going over to the east even further, like I said, heading out towards the South Sandwich Islands. So whether the USGS comes in with 6.9 or 7.0, it's just like the last quake, when they came in it was 6.9 and then downgraded it to 6.4. It's sevens. That's what's going on now. We're back at sevens. The forecast for this week was return to sevens. And it had been a while. Somebody told me it had been 3 months since our last round of 7.0 activity going around the planet. Well, here we are now, and it certainly is back. So I was off, and that's a long story, man. Getting shut off and getting turned back on, that's a whole nother story too. Now, one other thing happened. If you go over to the Disasters Compilation channel over on YouTube, they've got video coming out of Spain on this quote-unquote 4.4 earthquake. Sent people scrambling, and people were really thinking it was a bigger earthquake. It was pretty strong for a 4.4. Getting a lot of video out of the area on that. But like I said, big earthquake activity this week, and we know where the big earthquake activity is coming from. A boatload of deep earthquakes raised high off the globe here that you can see. And these are just the ones you can see reported from the USGS. There's been 30 or 40 more that you don't see on the screen here just this past week. So we're really lopsided on the deep earthquakes. And the deep earthquakes then lead to shallower, larger earthquakes. And that's where we are now with the new round of sevens. So sevens on both sides, west and southeast, means central, north, northeast, and northwest should also compensate. Similar size in the next several days. Think of this like a game of billiards where the ball is bouncing off one side, it can go to the other and follow a trajectory over to the east. Sort of like what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with, or more like a tennis match, if you will, back and forth. So we're going to see this carry on.
We're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo-jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops, and if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine?
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes. All of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku.
We're under fire. Ow, that one hurt me. Hit me in the side. Hey! Hey! Help!
Like on our video, as well as subscribing to our channel and clicking that notification bell so you can be the first to view what future content we have in store for you.
Wallahu alam apa ya ini apa ini?
Jangan menangis. Ustaz apa itu? Ustaz apa saya ini jangan video apa Ustaz?
Ah, video multimedia.
मैं क्या बोलूँ मुझे पानी में लगा। अरे भाई साहब ठीक तो हो क्या हो क्या Adiós, coche. Sí, adiós. Madre de Dios. Madre de Dios. ¡Vecina! Cállate. फ्यूज ना उड़ जाएगा आइडिया ये देख कितना नारा है
Watch out for the shock, it's coming.
Нихуя себе, это что такое?
That junk's right over my head.
Driving in that?
Holy mackerel, there goes that. Oh my God, look at that. Holy shit.
Tornado.
And I'm getting ready to make some extra plans here. There's a roof coming up.
Don't you think that warning was a little too late for some people?
Tornadoes pop up like that. Oh my God.
What?
It's taking the roof off houses.
Is it really?
Yes. The shingles come off the house right across the street. Look at all the shingles in the air. This is right beside our house. Oh my gosh.
Oh, get it.
Oh my gosh.
You think we should put it now, Mom?
No, babe, that's not going toward us. It's going away from us. Oh my word.
Dude, you don't go outside.
No, I'm not.
Holy! Oh my God!
No, that's beautiful, isn't it? Oh, it could be disgusting. It looks beautiful at the moment. Wow, I've never seen anything like that. Look at that. That's that tidal wave. Look at that. It used to be off perspective on the edge, look. Here it comes.
Particular capture from this evening is extra special. From the top of a small mountain, pointing the camera straight up, I record.
Palmas amanheceu. Olha atardecer aqui em Palmas, Tocantins. Olha que legal essa imagem aqui em Palmas, no Tocantins. Chique, né?